Yo, what's going on YouTube? It is Benfurd here, and right now I'm not streaming, but this is my first actual video on YouTube. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be ranking every single Drake album from S tier to D tier. So I got every single album in chronological order lined up on the bottom. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first album we got is So Far Gone. This is Drake's first album. And one song on here made him very popular, which is Best I Ever Had. And that song is beautiful. I am 1000% sure you or any of your friends have heard it. Very good song, but there's also some other good songs in there. Let's Call It Off, Ignorant Shit with Lil Wayne, and also Lust for Life, Successful. Songs like that, very good. I would say it's a little underrated because it's his first album, so not a lot of people looked for it. So honestly, as his first album that made him, who he is today, I'm gonna put it at A tier. Next up, we got Thank Me Later, which is one of probably my top 8 Drake album. This album is amazing. We have Fancy, Show Me Good Time, Fireworks, Over. Very good songs, but it's just not very consistent through the whole thing. I do think that it's one of Drake's most pivotal albums, but there's definitely better albums that are way more consistent than this one. So I'm still gonna give it an A tier. Just because of, Fancy, Show Me Good Time, Over. Amazing songs, but it's just not S tier. Speaking of S tier, the next album is Take Care. Take Care is Drake's best album of all time. There's no debate. We got Lord Knows with Rick Ross. Headlines. Headlines is one of his most popular songs. You've definitely heard it. Doing It Wrong. You've heard that song. Just so many other songs in here that are very consistent and very engaging. I think this is definitely going to be S tier. Just because of how consistent it is, how long it is, and for it being his third album ever, this is definitely S tier. I think anyone else will agree with me saying that this is Drake's best album. Next up, we got Nothing Was the Same. This album was actually pretty good. A lot of classics like Worst Behavior, Started From the Bottom, Tuscan Leather, Furthest Thing, Pound Cake. Very good songs in this album. It's just not that consistent in my opinion. I maybe have 4 or 5 songs in this album on my playlist, so I'm gonna have to give this B tier. Very good album. It's just not the best. If you're reading This Is Too Late, this album is good. I really like 6 p.m. in New York. I really like Jungle, You and the Six. I like those songs. And there's also classics like Know Yourself, Six God, Legend. Very, very, very good album. Just not as consistent. I'm going to give this an A just because of how classic it is, but it definitely could be much more consistent. And then next up, this is arguably one of Drake's worst albums. What a Time to Be Alive. This is an album with Future, I think. Looks to be his 6th album. It was supposed to be kind of I think it was meant to be kind of more of a rap album, like a really rap album, not really as R&B or hip-hop. So I just don't think he really did a very good job. Him or Future on this album. I like one song, but none of these songs are on my playlist. And in my opinion, he could have done way better. Next up, if not the second best Drake album of all time, Views. I don't really gotta say anything. This is S tier. One Dance, obviously, 3 billion streams. We have Redemption, 9. Feel No Ways. Western Road Flows. This album is so consistent, and it's probably the best R&B summer album of all time. Alright, next up we got More Life. This album is really, really, really appreciated by a lot of people. In my opinion, I don't really like it that much. I really like Passion Fruit, and I also like Fake Love, but just the songs in this album are kind of inconsistent. I know Portland and Galcaster are pretty good, but like I said, I don't know, it feels like a filler album, so I don't really like it as much. I'll give it B, just because, it has some good hits on there, but definitely not, an A or an S. Scorpion. Another amazing album by Drake. This album has God's Plan, everyone knows that, 8 out of 10, Survival, Nice for What, Sandra's Rose are all classics. I love this album personally. It's probably a top 5 album for me, so I'm going to put it at S tier. Care Package. Care Package was a good album. Had Days in the East and Club Paradise, but other than that, I don't really know any other Drake songs on this album. I feel like no one really talks about this album a lot. Kind of feels like more of a filler album, so I'm probably going to have to give it a C tier. Now, this album is, in my opinion, really underrated, and I actually love it a lot. Dark Lane Demo Tapes. The production on this album was amazing. If you know, Chicago Freestyle, Twisty Slide, Time Flies, Pain 1993, Landed, Desires, all are amazing songs. I have 10 of these songs on this album on my playlist. Love this album. I feel like it's really underrated, and I think it should be shown more love. So I'm gonna give it A tier. Maybe that's a little too much, but let me know. Next up, we have Certified Lover Boy. This album is so good. So many hit songs that kind of like. Next up, we have Certified Lover Boy. This album is so good. So many hit songs that kind of like shaped TikTok with their sounds. Way Too Sexy, Girls Want Girls, Champagne Poetry, Yeba's Heartbreak, Race My Mind, Fair Trade. This album is the perfect mix of R&B and rap, and the features are great. We have Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, Travis Scott, Yeba. Very, very good features. Honestly, I give this S tier as well. I mean, like, this album had so many good features and so many good hit songs that are going to be going around forever. We got 3 more left. Honestly, never mind. This album was so mid, if I gotta be honest with you. I know it was a summer album, but the only good songs in this album were Sticky and Jimmy Cooks. So, just because of Jimmy Cooks, I'll give it a C, but it's, if you know, you know, this album's not that great. With Her Loss to 21 Savage is a very, very good album. We have Hours in Silence, Pussy and Millions, On BS, Privileged Rappers, Middle of the Ocean, very good album. 21 Savage kind of does a good job of matching Drake's R&B energy. Sounds like I'm glazing. I'm not glazing, so I'm probably going to give that A tier. Now, for All the Dogs, this album, I know it was hated on a bunch when it first came out, but this album is so good. The production's amazing. Bahamas Promises, 7969 Santa, or is it? It might be just 7969. I don't know. Slime You Out with SZA. Virginia Beach, 8 a.m. in Charlotte. All the Parties, First Person Shooter. This album is so good, I'm giving it A tier. In my opinion, it's underrated, but maybe I might be wrong. This might not be underrated at all. It might be overrated. I don't know. But it's a very good album in my opinion. I love this album so much. Alright, this is my rating. I have 21,000 minutes on Drake. At least last year I did. This year it's going to be way more. This is my rating as a person who's listened to every single Drake album all the way through. Let me know if I got it wrong in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.